All right, Rob Browne, Brenden Martin here with you on the Friday morning college roundtable. Lot to cover today. Man, yesterday learned a lot about some new NCAA rules with timeouts. I like it.
You see my shirt?
Yeah, read that. Raising hell
Raising
with the
hell
hippies
with
and the
hippies and
cowboys.
cowboys.
That's a Willie Nelson, David Allen co-line, isn't it?
I think.
I love that shirt.
I wore it for you today.
I love it. Went to some hippie country last Friday night at the Landers Center, Sturgill Simpson. That's not your Hank Jr. Crowd or your Jason Aldean crowd. It's the hippie country, and it was awesome. He played for 4 hours.
I'm a hippie, Rob. I'm from Colorado, so it's
which is cool.
It's akin to me. So
hippies are smart, man.
Hippies are
they're truth brokers. Hey, we got Frank Duffy, Doug Dean, Roman Harper should be on momentarily from SEC Network, about 25 after. One of the leading pioneers, I think biggest pioneer in sports medicine, Dr. Jack Houston. He studied and learned under Dr. Houston. Dr. James Andrews will join us, the Andrews Orthopedic Sports Medicine Institute. What a great man, and we're going to learn a lot today. So take a picture with your cell phone of that code, the QR code. Be a subscriber on the YouTube channel, on X, Facebook. We're live on 7 channels. Watch us live, watch us later, but just watch us and share. You've hit the jackpot when you come to this channel. So let's get started on this Friday. Looking for a lot. Frank, we have seen and heard a lot in the last few days about Nico Iamaleava at Tennessee. And what's funny is he going to go to UCLA? Did you see what the tax implications are? He goes from a state, like I said, no state income tax here in Tennessee, 13 and a quarter in California, but he's from there. So he's used to getting beat over the head. But there's a couple other taxes in California. And every time the Grizzlies play out there, they get whacked. Okay.
Right, yeah. Because you got to pay the taxes of where you're playing the game.
Yeah. And I know Brenden can explain it, and I know Roman Harper.
I can't explain anything. I'll tell you that. When it comes to that stuff, it doesn't explain anything. But
well, let's bring Roman.
Somebody way smarter than me has just checked in, and I bet you he knows a lot more about it. So, welcome to the show,
Roman. How are you? I love the backdrop. Where are you?
Morning, Roman.
I'm in my wife's office.
That is awesome.
Awesome.
That is cool. Let me ask you a real quick question. First off, thank you for sharing your time with us. We're obviously heavy in the Deep South, but when you played a pro football game, I know the Grizzlies, when they play at the Lakers, each game has a paycheck and you get hit on that 13.25% income tax. But let's say you play from the LA Rams at the Titans in Nashville, no state income tax. That's kind of a big deal. Did y'all, I mean, I'm sure you did, because you're a smart guy, pay attention to that as much as we think you did?
Yes and no. I mean, you have an accountant that does all your taxes. So, and you do get taxed everywhere you play. So that's kind of just part of the deal. It's kind of cooked into the equation. And so, yeah, you got to file with, what is it, 9 different teams or 8 different teams, however many road games you have.
Yeah.
You have to file your taxes with them. I mean, I had an argument with LA, California for like 6 years. I was trying not to pay this because I played in preseason, but they were trying to tax me like it was my regular season check. So it was like back and forth the whole time because I was making a decent amount of money and they wanted a little bit bigger piece of it. And so, yeah, I mean, but that's what you deal with. And that's why you have accountants do all that for you. But I assume it's probably even more with the NBA because I think they go to each place like once or 2 times.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I mean, I don't even think about it. I mean, you're in the highest tax bracket anyway, so you're just paying anyways, and you want to overpay anyway. So then they don't come back at the end of the year and still want more. So,
well, Ron, I would have defended you pro bono for that damn San Francisco game that we went out there and did that playoff game. I'd have stood up in that courtroom for you for free.
Hey, man, that wasn't even the one. So, but I mean, that was a heartbreaker. But at the end of the day, it was kind of crazy because That was the same day my oldest daughter was born. So I
Oh
had
wow,
my
wow.
first child. She was born in the second quarter. So,
Wow.
um, yeah, I know. My then girlfriend, who's now my wife, she was like,
Uh-oh, we have lost Roman. Yep, here we go. Yeah,
Are you back?
yeah, we're back. We got you. Yeah, everything's good. I think you may have had I don't know incoming call. Brendan, is that the airplane
Yeah, it
mode?
looks like he got an incoming phone call and
Okay.
it probably kicked him off.
Okay.
But he'll be back in a second.
By the way, that game that we're referencing when the Saints went out to San
Here we
Francisco,
go.
it really would have been our second Super Bowl championship.
Trying again,
We were
Rob.
that good on that team, and it was a tough loss out in
You hear us?
Philadelphia.
You hear us?
Yep.
Yeah, my wife actually called me. Sorry about that.
No worries. We should have told you that if you get a call or whatever, it interrupts our bad.
Yeah, no, my bad. But yeah, she wasn't showing, and then it was a Saturday game because we went out there a day early, so we got out there Thursday. So it was all good, and then that day of. So
Yeah.
but you never know.
Yeah,
I played good. Sucks that we lost. It was a heartbreaker, but
Yeah.
it
that
was a
was our
great
most
game.
talented team when you look back on it. But
That was our second
you
Super
got
Bowl.
you gotta win the games though. You
Yep.
gotta win.
Roman, man, that's an interesting take because I wanted that, and I'm glad you answered that. And think about people having a child in the second quarter. I can remember my first one like this yesterday. Let's talk some SEC football. Glad to see you back in the studio, man. It just feels right, man, when you're up there, and you bring a lot of value because, like I say, I call you the truth broker, but you do. You'll say this is an 8-4 program. They're not what they think they are, and A&M kind of falls in that category. Lately,
Mhm.
Auburn has fallen in that category because you said
Mhm.
that about 4 years ago. We were driving back from Clarksville and said, you know what? Damn it, he's right. And so let's talk about what you see happening in the SEC so far. We're not even going to get into the draft because that's a whole other world. But man, love having you on here.
Okay, I'm pretty much a wide open book. I kind of got teams in mind. I try not to pick, like, I try not to go too deep into it until right up until just about August, September. I start getting my final thoughts kind of cooked
Yeah,
in because, like we just saw a week ago, things change.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Um, um,
I can't
Tennessee was a
imagine.
yeah, Tennessee was a team that I had actually progressing, and that week 3 matchup between Georgia at Tennessee in Knoxville, I had that pegged as one of the early markers that says, okay, this is what's going to kind of show us the pecking order of the SEC because I anticipate Georgia taking a step backwards.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
it's just hard. It's just evolution. It's part of college football today, where, Georgia's not going to be able to have all the great players that they still had when I came into this, when I got on covering SEC in
yeah.
2020, where they had Jordan Davis, they had Nolan Smith, and
N'Kobe Dean,
N'Kobe Dean. What's the other D lineman? The one that's the best one at
Jalen
Philly?
Carter.
Jalen.
Jalen Carter. So like they were that stacked early, right? And all of a sudden, when you lose guys over time, it's just hard to continue to replace.
Yeah,
Then you look at what they just lost off this year's defense. I don't know how they just all of a sudden just restack and we just roll it back out there. I think a lot of things will be that Georgia will, in my opinion, I think Georgia this year will be a lot what Alabama was last year, where they're a good team capable of beating everybody on their schedule, but they may lose a game or two that we just where normally Georgia just wins that game,
Yeah,
yeah,
and so I could totally see that happening to Georgia this year. I had Tennessee actually possibly winning that game,
yeah,
but now I don't know about that because Nico Iamaleava leaving changes a lot for Tennessee.
yeah. Doug, Frank, my questions wide open, man.
Also, I think Auburn's a team that actually progresses this year. I like that, they just recruited at a high level.
Yeah,
And, with all the freshmen that they had play last year, I think they're going to be better this year.
yeah.
And I think Auburn's a team that gets better. You know, they played better down the stretch when they stopped turning the football
Yeah.
over. I think they kind of solidify and tighten up those things. And I like Auburn going forward. I think Auburn's a better team this year. I think Alabama's supposed to be better this year. So we'll see how that rolls as well.
Roman, what do you think about DJ Lagway for Florida not or throwing, basically participating in spring practice this year?
Well, if he's injured, I mean, that's part of the deal. It's not like he's like, oh, I'm just too good to throw. It's an injury or whatever I'm hearing out of the shoulder or stuff. So it makes me hesitant a little bit, but the talent is undeniable. The way that he opened up everything else for Florida, and not only that, but it's rare occasions when you get a player on either side of the ball that all of a sudden comes in, and when the moment he plays, everybody is better, offense, defense, and special teams. DJ Lagway has that type of ability. So when he played, the whole team got better.
Yeah.
Not just on offense, not just throwing the football, but the defense played better. I don't know why, but some people have that type of ability. I only had a few that I had the capability to play with. One of them is Cam Newton, where when Cam Newton was out there, when Cam was playing well, everybody played better, offense and
Yeah.
defense. So when you have that type of magnetism and that ability to make others around you better, you're going to be a team that's always on the rise as long as you got that player.
Yeah. Doug? Yeah.
Roman, pardon me, one of the many things I like about what you bring to the analysis, the discussion is you're an independent thinker. You never seem to get caught up in
Groupthink.
groupthink. The way
I used to though. I used to. What I do now is I stop reading books in the off season, like all the college football analyst books. I'll get one to look at the rosters, but I don't read it because their opinions become my opinions, and I truly don't want that. I did that early on when I was just trying to learn college game, but now I'm like, no, I trust my own eyes.
Well, it's appreciated, and since you brought up, I try on the show not to go too far as a homer in the orange and blue, but you brought up Auburn, and I like the balance you had. That you're not saying that there's data at this point to call Auburn a 9+ win team.
Yeah.
It's not that that's impossible to happen, but I think where Auburn is at in year 3 under Freeze with what Harsin left, and by the way, if any Auburn fan, they really don't, but if they needed more body of work on Harsin, there is a mass exodus out of Cal. And, not all of that maybe is Harsin's fault, but what is normally a year 2 for a new coach at a program like Auburn, maybe that Auburn fans are hoping that really translates into year 3. That's how big the rebuild was. So I appreciate the fact that you think there is enough, especially this wide receiver room, if you study them and what you've heard coming out of
young
coming out of Lee County. Like a lot of programs, tell me how the quarterback will look by mid to late season, and I'll tell you what I think the ceiling is. And there's reason to be hopeful at Jackson Arnold. I'm not hopeful if we find ourselves Hugh Freeze having to insert Deuce Knight, not because he's not talented. I think he's going to be special. But, Coach Dye and I think Stallings, most of them will tell you, if you're having to depend on a true freshman quarterback, that's the price you're going to probably have to pay is a couple or 3 losses that just due to the youth when you go up against these savages in the SEC defensive fronts. But do you see, let's leave Auburn for a moment because we all need to see that opening Friday night Baylor game to get at least a little measuring stick. That's not a gimme. When you go on the rest, it's going to be a weird game. They can game plan, and you don't know what they're going to throw at you. Baylor won't know what Freeze will throw or DJ Durkin will throw either, so that should be fun. But look, who else? If I restrict you from not choosing Georgia or Texas, I'll throw Alabama in there because of their tradition. Past those 3, who do you like to really take a big next step? I mean, in some ways, Ole Miss did last year, you're welcome to pick them. But who do you see as having the pieces to be challenging for a playoff spot deep into November?
Well, I had Tennessee up until Nico left. Tennessee, I was back on the Tennessee train. I will, man, it's tough because I want to throw somebody out there like South Carolina, or I liked Tennessee, but you got to look at the pieces of the program. Do they got a solid head coach at foundational that's been there for a while? I would say most coaches are. And yes, we don't have any new head coaches this year. Only 3 new off coordinators this year. So stability is not in control for a lot of these universities and all these other factors. So the one thing they can't control is the head coach. So they're all keeping them now. Where a couple years ago they were firing them every other year,
Can't
getting rid
afford
of
to
them.
fire him.
And so with all the madness everywhere else, they're like, this is the one thing we can't control. Let's hold on to it and see what we can do. So that's a quality that you got to have if you want to be successful. So that's one check. Quarterback play. You need solid quarterback play. South Carolina is going to have Lenore Sellers in his second year as a starter. Bona fide star. Really put that team on his back at times and carried that team. They have, I think they brought in 4-star / 5-star wide receivers in this class alone. So now we don't know which one's going to be the best, but they should have some talent on that side starting to filter in at the wide receiver position to help him out. And it's going to be hard to replace all the production that they had defensively. South Carolina won games defensively last year that nobody wants to talk about. We're only going to talk about the quarterback, but defensively, they caused turnovers. Their D line kicked people's tail, and they whooped a lot of people on that side of the football, and that's what won them a lot of games. So that makes me a little bit nervous. I do love the quarterback in them, but this is going to be a tough
schedule. You study schedule for everyone that's in that second tier.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough. It's all about who wins what game. When and where you play games at in the SEC matters. And so there is no real safe pick as the team that's going to take that next step. Ole Miss, they geared up everything to make a championship run last year. They missed out because they lost to Kentucky. You can't lose that game. The same thing I would say to Alabama about losing to Oklahoma. You can't lose that game and then say, oh, we deserve to get in. No, you don't. You got to win the games. So
could this be the year? And there's politics involved with the selection committee knows that SEC and Big Ten believe that they should almost automatically get 4 teams in. Well, 4 for SEC. We can argue Big Ten.
The Big Ten. See, that's something I will argue till that's what I'm gonna be dealing with all year. Because as much as we want to say the SEC's better, the gauntlet, blah blah blah,
you got to win.
You got to win the games. Okay, the Big Ten has the last 2 national championships, so the Big Ten should have just as much say so as who gets to get into the playoffs as anybody else.
Even if they're top heavy compared to the SEC,
that's not their fault.
Yeah, that's right.
They when it comes down to it, they have beaten the best of the SEC to win championships both years. They beat our best.
I think the SEC gets 3 in the playoff this year. I don't think 4 though.
I'm totally down with that too. I think the SEC is very, very it's muddied up, man. It's going and you got teams like LSU where you think they're going to be better, or you just assume they're going to be better because Nussmeier's coming back, but they had to get a lot of guys out of the portal, and Brian Kelly's been trying to just build, and it's really hard in today's time. But you got to win the first game. Their first game is versus Clemson. That's going to be a tough one.
We're 0-5 in the last 5 openers.
Yeah, you got to beat Clemson, and that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you still got to go through the SEC. And it's not easy. And so that's what I'll be looking forward to. And I hope that they get better running the football. That's what they got to do. They got to be better running the football.
And John Henry went to the transfer portal.
Yes. And so that's another one where, they still haven't figured out Harold Perkins under Brian Kelly.
Insane.
Still haven't got it fixed yet.
First 4 games of his career as a college player showed you everything you needed to know, and they monkeyed with it.
Hey, so now, it's been, there's no way you would have told me that Harold Perkins would be in college 3 or 4 years later after the freshman year he had. Yeah. And he's still here. I know he got hurt last year. And it'll be interesting to see. But that's what I'm talking about. These are some of the teams that are in that second tier that they could either boom or bust. And it's just about what games you win as the season starts to unfold and roll out. Who's healthy, who's not, and who's playing where, and who's playing at their best football.
Roman, on a recent show, Rob and I, with a couple of other guest analysts, were singing the praises after the passing of the great Coach Brother Oliver, legendary defensive coordinator in the SEC, was most notably that 1992 national champion year under Coach Stallings at Alabama. I know that your play at Alabama was about a decade later than Oliver and that unbelievable 92 team. But as you have talked to Letterman, guys who were on that team, the Jay Barkers, all that defensive side of the ball,
Antonio Langham.
my goodness, that was a just unbelievable. If you're talking about the best ever defense in the SEC, they have to be in the conversation. But and then I've never seen, and I'm not the next down of football I play at college or NFL will be the first. But I wondered, I had never seen a coordinator bring 11 guys up to the line of scrimmage like Bill Oliver did in that Miami game. It was a bad day to be Gino Torretta, but
Yes.
Are we correct that when you interact with your fellow Alabama lettermen that were around, whether they played or not, but if they were there to witness that 92 team, do they speak about that Oliver defense in the same tones of reverence that the rest of us see? Talk about that as a tribute to Oliver.
Yeah, they do. Everybody, well, it's exactly what you said. It was like the first time we had seen it. And it's probably not the first time. I talked to Langham. He's like, it's not the first time we actually did that. It was like the first time that the rest of the world recognized it. Like that hadn't been like the first time that they had done some of those things.
It's almost unsound, isn't it?
Well, I've played in defenses like that as well. So like it's a lot of showing, it's a lot of doing, and it gives you different looks. So you can do a lot of different things off of it. Depending on how you time it and things of that nature. I love doing stuff like that because it just makes you play faster because you're trying to confuse the defense. We're showing the looks. One time I'm blitzing, the other time I'm dropping off the same look. And so body language is a lot of things. So what are you showing? What are you anticipating? I can get all the way in the weeds and that stuff. So I'm not going to do that. But, I get fired up about that stuff because I ran very similar aggressive defenses in the NFL. And so, but it does show aggression. And as a defense, I know where I stand at. And so if I know if I don't have help, I got to do a certain thing, then I got to do it. And so versus when I will have help over the top and things of that nature. So I just loved it because, Miami was such a high flying offense at the time. Gino Torretta was the Heisman Trophy winner, and they were supposed to be all these great things. And it was just, slow them down, just run the ball. SEC, which hadn't been, who wasn't known as the great powerhouse that the SEC is now. But
there was a 34-13 demolition.
Yeah, it was great to see Alabama because I watched that game as a young man in my parents' van. So I remember that distinguishedly, watching on that little 8-inch TV, which at the time seemed so big, and it was fun. And that was my first time really watching Alabama was in that national championship game.
Yeah, that one. And Mark Ham, our friend, was in Italy last summer at a cooking class, and guess who his partner was? Gino Torretta, and he reminded him. He said something about that game, and Gino said, "I don't recall."
Yeah, just watching. If I only saw that game on Torretta, didn't he win the dadgum Heisman?
Yes.
Yeah,
the Heisman curse. Just watching only that game, I'd say, Toretto, you're better suited to become a chef.
Messed up.
Hey, I got a question for Roman. So I actually got a chance to go see my LSU Tigers on Saturday in their glorified scrimmage, and I saw that the A game day and the Georgia game day, G day, are really a shell of what they were. Can you talk to what the landscape is right now in spring ball and how much? I guess it was Lane who kind of changed things up a little bit. Took it away from a game, made it more of just a spectacle. But can you speak to that, Roman, of how it is for a player that you have to gear up in spring like it's fall, and the difference between when you were coming through with Coach Saban and then the attitude of spring now, which is totally, in my opinion, watered down. And a totally different atmosphere, especially for when it comes to the to the fans and those of us that are watching it?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't go around in the spring. I want to go around to see how do you stay intense? How do you continually try and work to get better? Where for me, when I was there, and this was before Saban, sorry to, but every offseason, I took it upon myself to like get better. And I looked back on my own career. I don't know why. I was in a book one time, and I won a different award every offseason because I got better. But it was because I was still trying to prove things and I was still trying to improve my game. I was still looking
Proving
to,
yourself.
yeah, improving myself. And I don't know how you tell guys that we're gonna go hard, but then we're not gonna scrimmage, we're not gonna do certain things. So I don't know when or how they cut off the meter or how you know who got better. I think you can say who got better because of practice, but until you get under the lights, do
Yeah.
you like some guys
Real
you
fire.
just don't know.
Yeah.
And you can say Lane Kiffin kind of started this whole thing by not doing a Ole Miss game a year or so ago. But man, Matt Rule started it too,
Yeah.
and he was talking about well, he doesn't want to lose guys through the portal because he lost 3 or 4 guys after a Nebraska spring game. People saw him, they came and got him. Ole Miss was like, we just didn't want to show everybody what they had last year. And I don't know what the formula is. I'm a guy that traditionally wants to play. I also like what Deion Sanders is trying to do, where he's like, how about we just go scrimmage another team?
Yeah.
And
We talked
then,
about
like, let's get some
that.
reps. We put it on TV. Like, we make some money off the deal as well. I like that better than just not doing
Absolutely.
anything. And it's actually a way more controlled environment than what people think. It's like, oh well, I don't get enough looks. I don't want no players getting hurt. I'm like, it's a controlled environment. It's what the NFL
Well,
does
I was
in
going to say
training
the
camp.
NFL.
That's what we do to get better. Because you get tired of hitting your own players and
Yeah.
you don't want to hurt anybody, so you go get somebody else to hit. You
Yeah.
naturally get a little bit more competitive than when you're going against your friends.
Absolutely.
Naturally, the competition will ratchet up, and then next you know you're going to get better ball. You're gonna get
Yeah.
better competition, and you can coach versus real live reps.
Yeah. Well,
I
and
think that's the
you're
thing that
right.
nobody wants to appreciate the most is how much you can coach other guys because you see real live reps and mistakes happen in real speed. So that is what I want to be able to extract and be able to go into the meeting
Yeah.
room and say, hey, this
Correct.
is what we're talking about because it's not a controlled environment
Yeah.
going against buddies and your friends or
And
offense
you
that
know
we
their
might not see all the
tendencies.
time.
You know their tendencies. You know the wide receivers' tendencies
Yes.
because you're playing against them. If you go and play that, look, you guys used to do that all the time. Y'all would scrimmage against Miami. They would. Y'all would always have those once or twice, and and proof is in the pudding of how y'all ramp up. There was always a brawl that would break out during training camp when y'all would play those kind of inter squad games. So to your point, that really focused you more and it gave you a much better barometer of what you're going to be playing like when live fire happens. I think it's a great idea. I think that would be perfect for spring. Either maybe to take on another SEC team that you're not playing that year, or one of your in-state smaller schools, have them come in. I think it's a great idea. We need to get
Yeah,
behind it.
I don't know about the smaller in-state school. I say go get a totally different conference and
Oh,
go
that's
play somebody.
Yep.
I like that idea
great.
to do
Let's
that.
do it. I
And
like it.
Do you hear
I like to
coaches?
go out of the conference, go get somebody
Yeah.
that you're not going to play, and
You
and
hear?
do it that way.
Sorry to interrupt you. You hear coaches say, which is I find interesting. We and Lane Kiffin led with this, but others have said the same, including Freeze. I don't want to put my talent on parade for rival schools to see who they want to go after with NIL money, like it's a secret. I mean, even if somebody's in the too deep, not starting, there's not much film on them. I think that the information is so efficient nowadays. Coaches have a pretty good idea who's got the upside that they want to. Maybe they don't have a clean value. It's not like an NFL combine, but I'm with Roman. If there is a way to have not a 60-minute game, but maybe it's 40 minutes,
Yeah.
and a school like Auburn or Alabama brings pick one, Texas Tech or somebody in that's competitive. You could lose that game. It could put some
Yep.
heat on the coach that you lost a spring game.
Yeah.
But we want head coaches that aren't maybe that'll piss them off and they have more motivationally to work for going into August.
Yeah, Roman, I want to bring in, I know you've got to get going, but Dr. James Andrews, I'm losing my voice. Dr. Andrews is going to come on with us. We're going to talk about advancements in sports medicine and how, I don't know if you ever
Nice.
knew Dr. Andrews, if you ever did anything with you, but Dr. Andrews, I consider Dr. Houston, who he learned under, and then Dr. Andrews is the pioneers in sports medicine. And Roman, say hello to Dr. Andrews. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I've been listening.
Yeah.
Roman's grown up to be quite an interesting and expert in what he's talking about. Hey, Roman, how you doing?
Dr. Andrews, you know how much I love you, man. I appreciate you, man. I'm trying to get my wife better. She's over here having knee problems now. I'm just trying to tell her what you would always tell me after my injuries and how much you put me back together. So, just trying to pass it down the
That's
line,
great.
man.
Well, good luck this football season. And it sounded to me like y'all got it all covered.
Well, we try to, man. It's nothing like what you do, but hopefully I see you on the sidelines this season.
Regardless of what y'all do with spring games and competition, playing somebody, doing this and doing that, the main thing is don't get anybody hurt.
Yeah.
So that should be your number one goal, and that should be what you're really looking for. So if you're going to go play.
Hold him. We got him. Hopefully he's okay.
I agree with Dr. Andrews. I think when you scrimmage guys, if you can limit it where your ones get, you do 6 reps or 4 reps, you get them 12 reps with the ones, or 1 versus 1, you do 12 reps or 15 reps. Then your 2s, you're going to roll in. You're going to get 12 for 15 reps. And then your 3s, you're going to get 12 reps. And so, you can roll it that way and structure it where your 1s are going versus 1s. We're not going crazy, but we're going to get a certain amount of reps. And you rep count it, and then you break it down from there. But Dr. Andrews is right. The main goal is to be injury-free when we all walk off the field. Nobody usually gets hurt like that in practice, at least the big-time injuries. You will have some bumps and bruises and maybe a couple pulls here and there, but that's, that comes with the territory.
And you have limited reps.
Yes.
And by the way, Roman, that's how I explain my LSU national championships as compared to Alabama is quality over quantity.
I mean, you can't argue with that 2019.
That's my go-to. That's my 357 in my holster.
Now, the way I put it as an Auburn guy, I tell my Bama buddies, man, we've had more practice at losing at Auburn. We're good at it, so it doesn't kill us. And we count when you have a monster year like 2010, almost 2013, still special year. We count them, Roman, in like dog years. Right? You have to
7 years.
Hey man, I'm not mad. I got some of my best friends are Auburn guys because I, growing up in Prattville, and it's like, you're an Auburn man. You're an Auburn, it raises you a little bit differently.
You got to be mentally tough.
Yeah, there it is. You got to be. They're like, dude, I'm used to this. Like, in fact,
I'm working healthcare in Birmingham, Roman, and I'll defend it's not smart ass when I do this. If we have a physician move from out of state and they're not here long, and their family, their kids start to hear, you got to pick a side here in Alabama, they'll ask me, should I be an Auburn or Alabama fan? And I tell them, listen, first I have a question. Do you want it to be really easy for you? You need to say Roll Tide. It's just over the line. It's just going to be easier to be a Bama fan. But if you want something really special, then at least go to a couple Auburn games and see what you think.
A lot of
it's a great. It's a lot
of Auburn fans are named Job.
Because talk about a timely moment. Patrick Peterson, our longtime D-back, just retired from the NFL after 14 seasons. I mean, incredible
What a career.
But the thing that I remember is him being on the back of Cam Newton like a jaguar on top of a gazelle, and Cam dragged him 45 yards into that end zone. I remember
That
it like
was
it was
insane.
Had the angle and couldn't catch Cam.
No,
Dr.
couldn't get
Andrews,
it.
Dr. Andrews is back in with us,
I'm
and
back
Roman,
now. I don't know what happened.
appreciate,
It just
yeah,
went out.
Hey,
and yeah,
it's
and
okay.
look, what you and Roman were saying. I remember back in 1980 when Doug Barfield at Auburn said, "Hey, let's play a spring game. Auburn play Kentucky or Ole Miss or LSU because Auburn doesn't play them every year." Coach, Dr. Andrews, I told you one time, anytime I saw you, because you always wear the good-looking plaid jacket and the hat, but when you walked out on that field, it was serious time. And I also want to give you this man a compliment. About 2 months ago, I had a friend in Panama City that needed help with a doctor. He actually followed up, set me up with the doctors for her, called up to check on her. And this is the pioneer in sports medicine. And he takes that kind of time out to give it. I cannot imagine
The
how,
goat.
and you have so many fans out here, but talk about what it's like. And I know you technically have stepped back from being Auburn's day-to-day team doctor, but you always will be the giant in the industry. But what are we doing now to make it safer? Like Roman, I see Roman, he looks like he could still suit up and play, and that's a credit to you and your team. Whoop. You're muted. Take the mute off, Doc. I think you're muted. Okay. All right, go ahead. Yeah, he may have muted. I think you're on mute, Dr. Andrews. Can you hear us? Yeah. Oh, Dr. Andrews, I think you've got it on mute. You might want to check that.
Or reboot.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe something happened to the audio.
Yeah, Doc, can you hear me? Because I think it was on mute. But it goes back.
Computers are hard.
Yeah, they are, and you get the incomings and whatever. But I think everybody on this thing, you get outside of your comfort zone when you play a team outside of your conference. You get too comfortable playing the same teams. I think it's good for you. Absolutely. If you run nothing but flat Delta Hill streets, then you start running hills, it changes you. Dr. Andrews, can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. I think you had hit the mute. But a follow up to what I said about you, just the way you take time out to follow up. And I'm sure you keep up. Roman, all the people. Ellis Johnson's on our show on Mondays. He said, last time I saw Dr. Andrews, I woke up from surgery. And he was at the foot of the bed. But you're such an integral part of sports lore. You're up there with the coaches for what you do. Talk about what day-to-day, what advances, and what you're trying to do now in this next part of your career.
Well, the biggest thing that I've been doing over the last, since year 2000, is trying to figure out how to prevent injuries in youth sports. And what you find out is that injuries that you see as an adult athlete usually first started when they were 10, 11, 12 years old from overuse.
Yeah.
So if we can prevent what I call the root cause of these injuries, and bring these kids along at a slower pace and not let them, for example, play baseball year round, they won't be hurt when they're major league pitchers. So that's what I've been really working on, and we put together a number of rules for pitch counts in baseball. We have what we call Play Safely Foundation, which I'm chairman of, which is going to be a national foundation where we accredit youth coaches, and the rule is that if you're a youth coach coaching kids 14 years of age and younger, which are usually parents, by the way, then you have to have accreditation in sports medicine and recognition of injuries. You have to pass a test to be able to coach, and then you have to take a retest every year. So we're working on that, and you probably know Jack Crow, who coached at Auburn. Jack has helped me found that, and we're now moving from state to state. Right now we're in Louisiana trying to get the law passed. We're going to try to do all the SEC states first, and then we'll try to take it out nationally all the way across the country. We're also offering that test and that information to parents so they can learn about these injuries and right now the biggest problem in youth sports is not the coaches and not the players, but the parents. They're the ones pushing it. You wouldn't believe, unless you have grandkids in my age group. I have grandkids that are playing yesterday they were playing all day long doing something. Right now they're playing both basketball and baseball, both
It's so
on a
important to
young
do that.
team.
And of course, Dr. Andrews, it's so important to play multiple sports so you're not having that one sport. If you're a pitcher, you're not spending all year, stressing your rotator cuff. Go out and play basketball for 3 months. I mean,
Well, the
that's
problem is
critically important.
they're not seasonal anymore.
Yeah.
They're going on at the same time, so they've
Very
taken
good.
the idea of playing multiple sports and made it worse because they
Yeah.
played two leagues or three leagues at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's no such thing as seasonal sports
Yeah.
anymore.
It's overstressing
Unfortunately.
them. It really is.
Dr. Andrews, Doug Dean in Birmingham. First of all, it's an honor to talk with you on the show. And I'm working healthcare in Birmingham, so you've done remarkable, legendary things. Thank you. I wanted, if you can, without it being a physician grand rounds education for us lay people, talk about what maybe to some is controversial, the tightrope procedure and their other breakthrough procedures, where you've got an athlete late season, the team is vying for championship hardware, the player may be vying for honors like Heisman and NFL or NBA opportunities. We just saw Janai Broome and Alex Condon, the bigs at Florida and Auburn, have ankle injuries as they were trying to make March Madness runs. But talk to us about the calculus that goes into that. I think it's called a syndesmotic type of injury, and when that's appropriate, when it might be less appropriate to do to keep a player on the field. Dr. Andrews.
Well, they pushed that to its limit. We've seen that off the football field. Offensive tackle weighing 300 pounds has a syndesmosis, which is the two bones that make up the ankle. It divides that bone and splits it, and you can't put weight on it. Well, a tightrope is an artificial, just a artificial rope that you put across the bones and pull it tight and compress it together. And I've seen that in a week later with a big offensive tackle pulling to lead around the left side of the line of scrimmage and playing. It's not healed, so we're pushing the envelope with that. It probably takes, for the tightrope not to be the main stabilizer, it probably takes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks for that to really heal. So sometimes we're tricking ourselves, and we got to be careful with all those advancements. And of course, the doctors feel pressure, by the way, just like the coach does, and this, that, and the other, to get them back on the field as quick as possible, and particularly if it's a playoff time or whatever. So it becomes a little bit of a problem. The big thing is that we have to continually think that if we take good care of the patient, everything else will take care of itself, and that's really the rule.
Dr. Andrews got a question for you from a viewer. David Baker, rotator cuff. If someone has pain when extended, but not all the time, but still have mobility and some strength, got to be careful with above head exercises. Surgery or no surgery? He's just kind of saying that question for you.
Well, one of my rules is I've reached the golden age where I'm beginning to have both shoulders with rotator cuff problems, yet I can participate. My rule is stay away from doctors. So I would tell you in that case, as long as you're able to do what you want to do, keep going with it. Surgeries for the rotator cuff don't always heal anyway.
That's right. It's a long go.
I'm not big on just saying, it ought to be operated on.
Yep.
I love it. And the thing, Dr. Andrews, is Dr. Benton Emblem. Tim Horton, former running back coach at Auburn, introduced me to him in 2018. And I had a friend who had a horrible knee injury. And for years, he just hobbled around. Dr. Emblem and your team at St. Vincent's in Birmingham did the surgery. He was back home within a couple of days at a Krav Maga class. And the guy came over and said, man, what happened? Who did that to your knee? He said, what do you mean? He goes, I've never seen someone have surgery and it looked that clean and not swollen that fast. The time they say on the field when a player is injured, we hear so much about ACL injuries. And Frank, by the way, you know, Dr. Andrews is a graduate of LSU from Homer, Louisiana, all
Absolutely.
SEC track and field athlete.
Go Tigers.
But how important is it that first 30 minutes to an hour that things go, I guess, exactly right, if that's possible?
You mean from a surgical procedure?
Or just from recovery and treating the injuries? Because we see these guys go down, and ACL is I would say a traumatic injury.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you've got to have them immediately splinted and iced and off of it, and we begin what we call prehab right away. Prehab means rehabilitation prior to the actual surgical procedure. And all of that's so important in getting them through the operation. And we don't keep many people in the hospital anymore. We operate on them in the outpatient surgery center. And they now even artificial joints, total hips, are operated on in the morning, and by noontime, they're back home in their own home.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what's going on. By the way, you were talking about Benton and the procedure that looks so good. We're using the robot to guide us with our cuts to make them more precise when we do a total joint, either a hip or a knee. And the robot has changed the whole system up and helps the surgeon guide his hands.
Yeah. One more question. I know you're not the Florida doctor, but we're hearing a lot about Florida's quarterback, DJ Lagway, and the shoulder injury. How do you play like you said, stay away from doctors, but seriously, he's a big part of Florida football. And just looking at it from 10,000 feet above, what do you think happens?
I was with their doctor last night. I'm here in Dallas right now at our annual injuries in football course that's been going on all day yesterday. And I had dinner last night with their doctor. And he was pretty numb about it. He didn't say much. I'm not quite sure what to say about that. They kept that close to their chest. So I can't really answer that.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I just injuries they're all different, but I mean without doctors, I don't know how you have a team.
Dr. Andrews, for the average fan, we're fascinated nowadays. Let's just take the SEC, Alabama, Auburn, whatever program. When there is the team physician is on the sideline for a game, is that a like almost emergent care? If an injury occurs, you can pretty quickly have a close educated guess diagnosis. Are there imaging technologies in the locker room? Tell us how all of that works on game day.
Well, we can do the preliminary exam when they come off the field immediately, and you can get a better exam. A shoulder injury. Better exam if you examine them, immediately really sets in.
Yeah.
Have those tents on the sidelines, so we can take them inside the emergency tent, and so all the fans are watching what we do, and we can examine them, and then we.
Wow. Okay. Hopefully he's okay. He was spinning around in the cycle there. Hopefully he'll come back. Is Dr. Andrews still with us? Hopefully he's there. Brad Bellamy, general manager at Landers Ford. We're talking with Dr. James Andrews, one of the leading pioneers in sports medicine. It's really cool stuff. Before he comes back, tell us real quick. It is Good Friday, one of the holiest days of the year. I assume y'all are open.
We are open, very much open. Great to be on the show with you guys. I can tell you that there's very few people to have to follow behind than Dr. James Andrews. I mean, that's like a legend there.
Yes.
So, great to be with you guys this morning. Unbelievable deals we got. Employee pricing for everyone, built for America, for America campaign has been tremendous. We've been moving vehicles off the lot pretty quickly here, and everybody's kind of in this wait and see game with the tariffs and everything else. But everything we got from Ford right now is we're all in. So Dr. Andrews is back, so let him finish up before we.
I'm just losing y'all, and just all of a sudden it goes away. I don't know.
I tell you, I think Brenden, my producer, executive producer, told me this, that if you're on your cell phone and an incoming call comes in, it will knock you off. So I've learned if you put it on airplane mode, it'll stop doing that. But I know you got to get to your conference. But one other thing, and I want to tell you how much we appreciate you taking time to be with us. You talked in the Super Bowl about 4 years ago, Chiefs and the Bucks. Tom Brady, you said, played every sport he could. And I think you said 90 or 95% of the players on those two rosters played at least 3 or 4 sports in high school. So we have a lot of people watching this show with kids. And I've got 4 kids, but they're 24 to 36. But I've got 2 grandchildren. And everybody thinks their kid is the next superstar. What advice would you give people? And talk about the Sports Institute that you're putting together for sports medicine, which is, I think, going to prolong a lot of people's lives.
Well, number one, I would tell the parents to, if they're going to coach their own young kids, they need to get involved in recognizing injuries.
Yeah.
For example, if they're playing basketball and they have a concussion, and the coach is a dad has never heard anything about a concussion, he puts them back in the game, and then we have a second concussion. So we're trying to get them to get involved and take the same test that the other coaches are taking. That is, the parents take the test and learn about, if they're going to coach, they need to learn about first aid and
Coach
the
Smart.
injuries, how to recognize them.
Coach Smart.
So that's the main thing.
Yeah. And I know there was CoachSafely.org. I went to that dinner August of 22 in Vestavia.
Right.
And Kevin Skarbinski, Jack Crow, and you were supposed to be there, but I think you had to stay behind for a surgery in Gulf Breeze. But man, without it, we don't have a future, because a lot of people are trying to take football. Dana Marquez at Auburn and what happened in California last year. They tried to take away youth football. So
if we're not careful, if tackle football was invented today, we wouldn't allow it to be played. And we don't want that to happen. So we've got to be careful, or it's liable to be banned.
Dr. Andrews, I just wanted
football's king in our part of the country. Football, for me, is the number one sport that I really take interest in. But we got to be careful with it, and particularly at the youth level. We've got the flag football league now that the NFL is pushing. So that's another way of playing a type of football anyway.
And youth baseball.
My little grandkids are all playing tackle football, and they're how old? They're fifth graders. I mean, they're kindergarten grade and playing tackle football.
Wow.
So
and youth baseball, Dr. Andrews, those pitchers, those young pitchers in youth baseball, what they're overusing their arms, it's insane. By the way, Dr. Andrews, it is a privilege as an LSU grad to be on with you. I wanted to make an offer to you. My daughter is actually a lobbyist at the legislature in Louisiana. If I can be of help to have her maybe help with this legislation, this push, she's a lobbyist. Rob can give you my contact information. I'd be more than happy to help out in any way I can. She's an LSU grad as well.
Well, that'd be great. We're, the legislature in Louisiana didn't. It just has opened up. So we're right in the middle of that. So that would help to get her to help us with that.
It's on its third day right now.
Jack Crow.
Yep, she's with the Tapman group. I'd be happy to have her reach out.
That'd be wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Doc, I know you got to get going. I'll let you go. I'm going to send you Frank's contact information, but look forward to your next visit. And thank you so much. Someone of your stature is as personable as the family doctor that we grew up. Marcus Welby has nothing on you. I'm telling you. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank y'all. Y'all do a great service. So I've been sitting here listening to Roman. I really enjoyed listening to him
He's great.
before I actually came on.
he's
He's a
incredible.
wonderful person.
Yeah,
No doubt.
he is. He's got 4 young kids, and I know he's a super dad. I love having him on, but need to get you out more and more talking, because I've got so many people texting me. What you're doing with Andrews Sports Medicine is thank you.
And has been for
Yeah.
4 to 5 decades.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Everybody at Auburn and Dr. Houston, and then you come along. I don't know if you could get. It's like Elvis had a twin.
You know, the funny thing was, you never wanted to hear that your player had to go to Dr. Andrews, but you were glad they did.
Well, I did it for 50 years, so I'm sort of from the outside looking in, but I'm still trying to keep my finger on everything, believe me.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. Have a great
Y'all
weekend.
take care.
Dr. Andrews.
All right. Thank you. Brad, he's out there in
What a
Dallas,
goat.
at a sports injuries conference in Dallas. And
The
Yeah.
goat, man.
Wow.
Holy mackerel. What
Yeah.
a pioneer.
I kid you not, he helping my friend down in Panama City. He literally called me back about 6 weeks ago, said, "Hey, have they taken care of him?" He hooked me up with the doctor,
I've heard that
Dr.
from others
Ostrander.
too.
I mean, and then he followed up, said, "Is everything good?" I'm like, he called me on the phone. I'm like, man, he doesn't have to do that. Andrew,
How you doing, Brad?
Think
How are you?
about the stories that he could tell if it wasn't for HIPAA.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's true. Oh my goodness.
all the different people that he's worked with. I think it would be neat. I mean, he could be a neat person to have come to the Touchdown Club, Rob. I mean,
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
all the folks he's worked with. I mean, there's no greater bottom. When the headlines on ESPN, it's like, this person just saw Dr. James Andrews. I mean, it's still.
Guys, he said, good to see you, Brad. He said, and he's right. If football were invented today, they wouldn't allow it. And all I can think, and someone needs to help me comprehend the contradiction that we're trying to make helmet, targeting, and for good reason, helmet to helmet contact that risks serious spinal and concussion injuries, and yet mixed martial arts and UFC, the whole point is to create a
Beating the shit out of
concussion.
each other.
So I'm not anti that sport. I just wish someone would help me make it make sense. Can y'all help me there?
I mean, Doug, I mean, the only thing I'll say with football is I think it's the repetition. And, at a young age, these kids, I mean, when they're doing the mixed martial arts thing and learning the craft, I think most of that is not contact based. Like you look at wrestlers, because I think a lot of mixed martial artists have a mixture of, doing the karate or taekwondo and then wrestling as well. And then they kind of progress from there once they get older. But I think that's one of the things. I mean, even my son who played soccer, they've got rules in place now up until a certain age. You can't head the ball. Like if they hit head the ball, the play stops and the ball goes to the other team. I mean, they've tried to put.
Could be a neck injury, couldn't it?
Well, it's more concussion based.
Oh yeah.
Concussions in soccer. Like my cousin played college soccer and he had to quit playing because he got concussions too many times. And so, I mean, it's a very prevalent thing that, I mean, soccer's actually got just as many injuries or more when it comes to ligaments, when it comes to concussions, when it comes to, broken bones. I mean, I was at a game one time where a kid shattered his leg, had a compound fracture because him and another kid kicked the ball at the same time. I mean, there's a lot of activities that are out there that, I mean, and they keep coming up with new sports stuff. I mean, have you guys seen this slapping deal that they got now that UFC created where people just slap the crap out of each other?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That guy. I mean, when has it gone too far? It's just,
people stop watching. I mean,
that's vicious. I might be wrong. You'll fact check me on this, but I think that cheerleading might have the greatest prevalence of injury. Have y'all heard something like that?
A lot of them. Those girls just their ankles and their legs and stuff just get pounded. Yeah, there is truth to that.
Yeah, and they're delicate little frames, especially the young ladies. So you get hurled 20 feet up in the air, and bad things can happen.
And I hate to use the analogy of horses with young girl cheerleaders, but you think of it, the weight and the pressure, the pound pressure per square inch. on their ankles. It's no different than a racehorse where everything is sitting on that fetlock. And I mean, you've got all that weight on it. It's, it can't hold.
Speaking of cheerleaders, this is random, but everyone, even if you're young, you know how to use YouTube. Was it 82, Rob, the Flutie Hail Mary pass?
84 to Gerald Phelan on Black Friday.
I happen to be good friends with a sweetheart. I mean, she works in healthcare in Birmingham, Martha Tankersley. I can't remember her maiden name. She was a cheerleader on the sidelines during that Hail Mary pass.
A lot of hair, a lot of hairspray, and a lot of
oh my God. And she said when all she remembers is when, by that point, the cheerleaders were watching the big play. And all she remembers, because she's a typical little, 5'1" cheerleader, a flyer, that when it went down and they called it a caught touchdown pass, that she was picked up by some 6'5", 300-pound offensive lineman. They were being carried onto the field, and she said, I couldn't really even see anything. It was just such a melee. Can you imagine that memory?
Let me go home.
Yeah, and I think that the cool thing is, I mean, it's this time of year. There's a, that was a really cool conversation with Dr. Andrews and Brad. Real quick, I know you've got your sales meeting. I think at 9. We're probably behind on there, but before we wrap up, everybody that's asking questions about employee pricing and trade-ins. I've got people asking me about trade-ins. Let people know, and I want to say something about some other sponsors. But it's a time of year, and there's stuff happening. There's a lot of questions. If you could address them in 30 to 45 seconds, and I'll let you get going. But love having Landers as a sponsor. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
No, you're good, man. I mean, the employee pricing, it's the first time ever that Ford has launched an employee pricing program that was the same price, literally, that Ford employees pay. I mean, on the invoice, it says A plan. That's a Ford employee or family member price. That's the pricing we're at. On some, now one thing that we've been able to do on some of the 24s is we've actually got rebates on top of it and APR.
Wow.
And so like Expedition, for example, I'm at A plan price minus $5,000. So on 24 Expedition to sell out the remaining ones, because we got the new 25 showing up, guys. And you talk about a dramatic difference in body style and technology. Also right now, for the last couple of days, we have a $25 rebate if anybody wants to come in for a works package. So typically oil change price out the door with everything is around $100. That's a $25 rebate, so 25% off. And that ends tomorrow. But it's Rob, the whole tariff thing, used car pricing, what's it going to look like? I mean, right now is a great time because used cars are starting to get a little more value than they've had. You got great pricing. The best thing I compare it to is when COVID started, you had this shift where all of a sudden there was some really strong incentives because the manufacturer were trying to get people in the door that were scared to leave their house.
Sure.
At a rise in how much the used car pricing was going. And so people were really able to kind of, so out there for all your folks, we got a 5 discount on top of whatever that price is. So if I talk about those expeditions, the 24 expeditions, it'd be $5,500 off for your listeners if they just mention that to us when they come in. So really looking forward to this weekend. Should have great weather here. It's going to be a big weekend at Landers Ford. We're in the throes of having our best new car month in a very, very long time. And a lot of these programs are driving that. Yes, Doug.
I'm sorry to raise my hand like I'm a fifth grader, but Brad, I have to get in there and head of Duffy. He's so glib as an articulate baseball color guy, right? Brad, without it being an investment seminar or world trade seminar, when we consider I think welcome chaos in the short run, in the long run, hopefully it adds up to good for America. But is your company planning for or dealing with disruptions in supply chain or those kind of issues, or is it possibly even instead of that creating good opportunity for you?
I mean, I think I'm a Ford dealer, right? And so one of the benefits of that is 80% of our vehicles are here built in the U.S. I do not know what the supply chain in terms of parts going back across the border, that impact is going to have. But from a production but from a production who's building them and where they're built, Ford's in America. And so that's a huge advantage for us as a Ford dealer. I think that we're going to have a position of strength as we enter the summer, and you see other manufacturers, you know, a lot of what Toyota builds is still coming from overseas. A lot of what Mazda builds. I mean, Mitsubishi has said, we're not shipping anything into the U.S. Right now, they got a whole bunch of vehicles sitting in port because they don't want to pay the tariffs, waiting to see what happens. So I think for me as a Ford dealer, we're in a position of strength when it comes to how we're going to price against the other manufacturers in the marketplace.
And y'all have a lot of American-made parts too, though. Ford has a lot of American-made parts.
Yeah, and like some of our other competitors, their full-size trucks are not built in the U.S.
Yeah.
Every F-150 is built in America. Every Super is built in America. And so like not only does Ford own the retail space, but they own work. They own the commercial sector, and all of our commercial vehicles are built in the U.S. So Bronco built in Michigan. I mean, so like we are in a really strong place, but I will tell you, there's still going to be an impact for everyone. Yeah. And now's a great time to try and take advantage of what the situation is. The other thing is come in and order a vehicle. If we don't have what you want right now, if you order one, Ford's going to lock in that price to today's price.
Okay.
To that.
Well, right now, y'all are the dealer at the blackjack table.
Yeah.
And so while pricing is what pricing is, now's the time to come in and take advantage of this because, you know, best case scenario for everyone is that the water level comes down and we're all in a spot of predictability in the summertime. Based on the first 120 days, I don't think that that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
But guys, I'd be remiss to just say, you know, we're all blessed. We're blessed to have freedom of speech. We're blessed to have freedom of choice. We're blessed to be able to have a country where we can practice our religious practice openly and honestly. And I just want to say I'm thankful to live here. I'm thankful for it being Good Friday and Sunday's coming. I got to go to 2018, and one of the most amazing experiences of my life to be able to go there, travel, and just see where Jesus walked and how much the Bible just changed for me and how much smaller it got. So thank you guys. Opportunity.
Appreciate that very much, Brad.
Thank you, Brad. And freedom of speech is number one.
So we'll see you swinging in the right way, boys.
That's right. Brad, take care. And guys, great show today. We'll wrap it up, man, and do it again next week. The weekend, a lot of stuff will happen. But
Rob, does this show mean that the team physician for sidelines is Dr. James Andrews?
But of course.
Hey, because look, I got 2 rotator cuffs myself. I need some more.
Hey, Frank, I sent the contact info. Y'all have each other's stuff now.
So my problems are all old age. They're not surgical.
Yeah. Stay away from that.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say y'all kicked our ass last week on Plainsman Park. I'm not worthy. But we did take it out on Alabama last night, so we're going to try to see if we can return the favor to Alabama.
New weekend, the only easy day was yesterday. You know
that's right.
Hey, great stuff, guys. I'm going to get my voice back for Monday. Y'all take care. We'll wrap it up. Happy Easter, man. Let me say something about Winter Timber Outdoors. They are located in Athens, Alabama, on top of the state of Alabama. The store, it looks like in June, should open in Auburn. It's along near Interstate 85. It's going to be easy to get to. A huge store with a massive selection of over 2,000 shotguns, rifles, and handguns. They've also got Dixie decoys, duck camp, Sitka gear. Turkey season is here now. Everything you need, from calls to copper-plated lead to your shotguns, your gear, your ground blinds, your decoys. Winter Timber Outdoors. I was talking to Kenny Winter and Dylan Monroe yesterday. They're rolling. Proud to have them as a sponsor. And also, I want to say something about the lozenges I need. I'm losing my voice, but Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. Good Friday. A lot of you are off today. Get out there. Look at all the boots. They have great selection of boots, men's and women's, over 7,000 pairs. Duckhead. They've got Barber, Filson, STS, tons of luggage, and these Barber school bags that you can put your laptop and all in. The Filson briefcases, all the Filson luggage, great looking earrings that they've got out there, the new brand. Holy cow, they look great. Kids' boots. It's a great time to shop this weekend. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. most often we will see the face of Christ in the least among us. Happy Easter, everybody. We are the most blessed people in the greatest country in the world. And we have the greatest executive producer, Brenden Martin. Thank you, everybody, for watching. See you Monday. Have a great